So a little while ago, I just looked at how many videos I've made and some of the dates and such, and I realized I've been doing this series for quite a while now, actually. Nearly 5 months the Minecraft Rambles series has existed, and I'm so happy to have been doing it for this long. I know I haven't really done any other specials other than my 1 month, and followed by that month hiatus. Yeah, happy 1 month, I'm going on hiatus. And that was such a funny thing, though, now that I think of it. But I wanted to really start opening up a little bit more on my channel. So I've been on this Discord community and I've been opening up with them and such. And I spoke with the person that runs it, and she she actually ended up wanting to see one of my videos. So we put it on in this group chat or group call, and I got some good feedback, authenticity and all that, and like, yeah, that's me. But I sort of feel that now that I've been opening up, I feel that it would really align with my ultimate goal of helping people, that I share more of my stories, even some of the more personal ones, even getting right into detail about how I felt and all that stuff, even if it involves family or school or anything like that. So I'm gonna start doing that. There's still gonna be Minecraft rambles, but it's just going to be more like a story time type thing, because sometimes hearing somebody's story can at least make you feel less alone, and that's kind of the purpose of this. And that way we can also pull from, so I can pull from this video and talk about it in different videos. So this will be basically kind of like the umbrella video. Anyways, that aside, let's talk about the today's story. So this story is a little funny, and to some people it's insignificant, but to me it's pretty, it can be, it's major in ways, in other ways it's insignificant. But 10 years ago was when things were starting to fall apart in my life. We all crossed that barrier at some point where we basically stop being these innocent kids that don't know anything about the world, and we start knowing more. So the first thing that really kind of set this off was my parents separating. So it was around this time, 10 years ago, finishing grade 6. The grad ceremony was coming up, and I was still clueless at the time what was going on. I think it wasn't until a few days before my ceremony that my mother told me that we were moving out. I was a little shocked, but because I was so clueless back then, I didn't really care. I was kind of thinking, oh, new adventure. But we were also moving back to the area that I was in before moving to this other place. So it was kind of like, hey, yay, yay, nice. And we're closer to the city. Nice. So I didn't really think much of it. And I just sort of ignored the fact that my parents were splitting up and all that. And it just, I kind of knew it was going to be a little different, but I was so clueless back then. I didn't even care. My brother, though, that affected him. And I was thinking, well, why is he upset? I was so clueless back then. So my grade 7 year was starting, and this is when a lot of my anxiety started to come out. A lot of us have fear of loud noise. It's sort of like a natural instinct, apparently. So I had fears of like fire alarms, people screaming, that kind of stuff. So um, that kind of threw me out of a loop for a couple months. I skipped classes, and the school was on my ass to get back to class. Trying to be supportive, but I was a stubborn little kid and I wasn't going to class. But eventually I made it back, and I was able to pass grade 7 with an award, apparently, for outstanding citizenship, which was quite nice. I'm not sure what I did to deserve that, but I sort of looked at it as a recognition of all my hard work that I did that year, getting myself out of all that crap and getting back to normal. So, sort of the next thing, which this is when things escalated severely, and it's gonna sound strange to some people, but you got to hear me out, and you got to put yourself in my shoes for a minute with this story. So, by grade 8 year, we moved back to my father's. So my parents got back together. We moved back that summer and such. And I was happy. I was like, yeah, okay, they've worked their shit out. My father's doing better. I think it's gonna be good. Not even a few weeks in, that just got thrown out the window, and I didn't really think much of it at the time. I was still kind of clueless, trying to live my own life and all that, and trying to make my grade 8 year my best year yet, because that was my goal, was to exceed my grade 7 year, because grade 7 I accomplished so much. I wanted to beat that. It was pretty ambitious, and oh boy was it ever ambitious, because grade 8 turned to be my worst year ever in my life. So I dealt with a lot of stuff at school for starters. So earlier I'd mentioned the fear of loud noises and such. So I was paired with some of the worst students ever in the school that would just disrupt the class and all that. And that wasn't even what scared me. Um, it wasn't until later that hearing them start to act up would scare me because I would anticipate this. But oh, we had this teacher. She was very sweet, and I really feel for her. But she did not know how to control a class, and every single day for the school year, pretty much, I was dealing with just her screaming at the class, scolding us out, and I'm just the innocent kid trying to learn. I'm just sitting here, and I'm like, why? I want to come to school to learn. I don't want to be screamed at. You know what? I know it's these assholes that deserve it, but why do you gotta do it to the class? Can you pull these bastards out and scream at them in the hallway? Shut the door and we'll all laugh with our popcorn in our hands? So that was one thing that I dealt with, and then it didn't help that at home I was dealing with something similar. My parents were arguing and screaming at each other so much, and I, for a year in my life, I was living in a constant fear. And I know that I could have possibly done something about it, but like I mentioned in a previous video, when you're stuck in a very shitty situation for so long, it is near impossible to just snap your fingers and get over it. It's like it'd take a miracle just to get over it, and I had to keep dealing with that for so long, and it got bad. I had to move classes halfway through the year. Unfortunately, I still had that teacher, but the class was somewhat better, but then I had to deal with a whole other situation at the end of the school year, and I just never felt in peace. So after that, if the class started acting up, I'd be just anticipating somebody screaming. And even then, some of the staff at that school were just awful. They don't know how to control students at all. And I'd just be sitting there, and I get punished too. Like they keep the whole class in for lunch because the class was acting up. I could name people on my hands that are completely innocent. I had two good friends at the time that were some of the best people ever. One of them, she was like a top tier student, and yet she was kept in for lunch. Why punish the class? So I felt that me just existing was also just more like a nuisance or something. So, and anyway, so eventually my mother said, like, we're gonna move out as soon as we can, and thankfully, the middle of June, 8 years ago, so 8 years ago, around this time, we moved to where I currently live, and I wish I could say that it got better. It sure as hell didn't. At least I could live at home peacefully, and things did get better overall. Um, I was still nervous when my parents were together and such because I'd be taken to my father's to visit and all that, and I was just waiting for them to start screaming at each other and such. But at school, it still didn't change because I was still in the same school for my final year in grade 9. And it was kind of better, but I was still dealing with the same stuff and dealing with a teacher that just didn't understand my anxieties and such. And you know what? I can look back now and realize that it was a bit more of miscommunication, but at the end of the day, you don't go and scold a student for being anxious one time. Because again, I'd always strive to be a good student and to do my schoolwork and all that. And you know what? I hated missing class, but you know what? Sometimes I just needed to take a break, step out. Because I'll come back stronger if I just have some time to breathe. But here's the kicker though, is I went to a different room. The whole purpose of that room was so that you could work. It was not like I was going to the cafeteria or the gym to join dodgeball or something like that. I was going there to work. And the teacher found me during lunch, pulled me into her classroom, and just kind of went at me for it. And I just felt like, why? I'm still doing my work. The stuff that you assigned, I'm doing it. But yet I have to be in the classroom. You know what? Sorry that I was having a bad day. So a lot of that time in my life really, it did a lot of damage. And I'll be completely honest in here and say that I'm still dealing with a lot of it today. And I've mentioned before, I've dealt with a lot of bullying and such. And because I was the nice guy, I'd never fight back. I'd never put somebody in their place. I was just too kind. I'd just keep my mouth shut and truck on, basically. I wouldn't do a thing. And so nowadays, sometimes I just feel that when I'm kind, it's just for nothing. People, and it is also kind of a world problem nowadays that you can be kind to somebody, but they can still let you down. I've dealt with my fair share of people, friendships, relationships, coworkers, bosses. I could name one person that I do my hardest to get tasks done even though the store is busy, but it was still, no, you didn't get that done. Like, screw you. And my high school years were pretty much okay. There were some things that I ended up having to deal with. There was just some people that pretty much abused my kindness. I recognized that after a while and cut them off, thankfully, before it got worse. Um, and so to this very day, so a lot of this story, I guess, I wanted to really paint a picture because this kind of leads into the next part. So I wanted to tell that story as a base, but now I have some other things to talk about, and that's what I call the journey. I talk of the fool's journey, which is kind of translated to the journey. If you don't know what the fool's journey is, it's sort of a thing in Persona where your protagonist is basically on a journey of some sort. Um, it's the story basically, and you know, like, judge me all you want if you think it's completely dumb to parallel a game or something like that, but we all go through our own journeys, and I think that's really how I see it. So, anyways, ramble aside. Where that sort of puts me now is I'm trying to fix what has been done to me, which there's been a lot of emotions. So, of course, I want to become a better man. I want to be happier, stronger, and all that. A quick little subtopic I could talk about actually right now. I watched a video recently, and it was talking about self-improvement and such. I've been really into these self-improvement videos recently, and this one in particular was about how we lose ourselves as a kid at some point. And a misconception that self-improvement could be is that we're trying to get our childhood self back. And I'll be completely honest, that's what I've been doing most of the time, was trying to get that old me back. But recently, after discovering Jingus's community and hearing that video, just kind of hearing it out loud, I realized that we don't, we can't really go back to our childhood. We have to build something new. And does it suck? It does. But here's the thing. We were clueless back then. We couldn't go out. So, but now we can go out as adults. We can do all this stuff. But we still have a lot of baggage from our childhood that we have to fix. But that's the thing, is we can fix it. So all the things I talked about, I'll go into detail now and how it's affected me in my day-to-day life. So I'm a relatively anxious person overall. Happiness to me is almost an insecurity. It's almost like letting my guard down. And a perfect example was just this past weekend. I had a great time on Sunday with some people online, and we were playing games, and I felt so happy to just have some good people. And then just to have a shitty situation happen at work yesterday that made me feel like I wasn't doing good enough. Came crashing down, and I was thinking last night, like, why? I feel like I can't be happy because something comes by to wreck it. And I've said it in my videos that, or I don't even know if I've said it or not, but emotions come like waves. And thing is, happiness does go too. But I just don't think I expect it just to come crashing down all of a sudden, because I woke up Monday morning feeling happy. I was like, yeah, it's the start of a new work week. I have something else to look forward to next weekend. We can get through the week. I'm gonna chat with my coworkers, tell them about all my weekend, listen to their weekend, talk about the World Cup because I got a coworker that's watching that right now and such. But no, a situation happened and it just really wrecked it. So for a lot of my life, I can't be happy. And it's not because of my situation. It's because I'm scared to be happy. Because I hate the feeling of losing that happiness after. It it hurts. It's it's a pretty big pain. It it's not heartbreak, I can say that, but is close to heartbreak because you have something that you've cherished and then all of a sudden it's gone, and it does hurt. That's something I'm trying to work on, is to almost be carefree in a way and let myself be happy no matter what. And I think in certain ways I've done a good job of that because the world's kind of been funny for the past, well, past however many years, but I think the world has always had its quirks. So, but we all try to be happy even through those. So I think we need to look in on ourselves and look at our own lives, and we need to be happy even if the world's going at us or if somebody's going at us, which is what happened to me. Somebody wasn't happy and everything came crashing down. I just got upset and all that. And because of all the screaming and such, I'm scared of crowds. I'm scared of any just sudden loud noise. It puts me into this state of terror, basically. I feel like I'm gonna die, basically, which is very dramatic, but it's kind of the natural instinct really come into fruition, and that's something that I really got to work on. I don't know how to work on it, but I'm gonna figure it out one way or another. And that's the thing, is with all this, I can say, but I gotta do. So I'm working on my sleep schedule right now, and I've got a good community here encouraging me and such. So, and so far, knock on wood's been pretty decent for all so far. But, and then other things that I need to work on is like socializing and such. So there's been things in school that have just led me to not want to talk to people because they just see me as a weird guy, or because I can get overly emotional sometimes if I'm really happy. Sometimes I get excited and happy and energetic, and I'm like, yeah. But people saw that as weird and they just laugh at me for it. They'd laugh at me for being happy. So that's the other thing, is I'm not only am I scared to be happy because I'm worried of losing the happiness, but I'm scared to be happy because I'm scared that I'll look weird for being happy. Isn't that just sad? Scared to be happy because the world says happiness can be weird. Or somebody could say that happiness is weird. But the thing is, they're not even really targeting the emotion itself. They're talking more so about what makes you happy, but that's more of an attack on your happiness. Isn't that just sad? You know, if I see a kid out biking or something and they got a smile on their face, I'm gonna be like, kid, you're biking on the sidewalk. Get off the road. Get off the sidewalk. Go on the road. No. Look, for starters, they're a kid. They're learning how to bike. And they're happy. And it's nice to see them happy, because the thing is, they don't know what's coming. So that's sort of where I'm at right now with life. And I really wanted to get this out because this is sort of the big problems that I have with my life, and it can be a daily struggle. Right now, making this video, it's Tuesday, it's the day after that shit show happened at work, and I'm just kind of trying to think of what to do. I've reached out to some people, and I'm gonna hopefully get some answers on what I can do with all this. Not really trying to resolve the situation, because honestly, considering what happened, I don't really want to talk to the person for a few days. I'd rather not see them, but it's more so the mental side of it that I really want to work out, because I don't deserve to feel this way. Nobody deserves to feel this way. So it's just something I'm gonna have to work on, and that's the lovely thing, though, is that, and that's I'm gonna go on a quick tangent right again with the whole purpose of this channel. And after that encouragement from Genghis on Sunday, now I really see my mission. I was, after we got off the group call, I really saw that I feel that I could have a purpose, because we all struggle to find a purpose in life, and sometimes even the little nichest of things can be our purpose. And and I'm gonna get a little philosophical. I often question um why, if there's a God, why would God put us through this stuff? And people will say that God puts his toughest soldiers through the toughest battles and such. Buddy, I'm not tough. I've cracked. But I'm working on it. But I see that there's another purpose to it, because maybe it's to gain the knowledge to help others. So my story of 10 years, there's still more to the story. I want to just more touch on the major parts of the story, but my 10-year story, I feel, is the reason why I'm here making these videos. Because back in the day, I've always wanted to be a YouTuber, but back then it was to make Minecraft videos like Stampy did. But I'm here doing Minecraft videos, but also telling my story, giving advice, and helping others. And I've seen the results already. It may not be a whole crowd, but it's even just a few people that I've already hit. And I've helped them. And that's one of the greatest things ever. And that's the whole purpose of this channel. It's to help others. I can use this outlet that I've declared as a way to help others. Isn't that just beautiful? So, if you're sitting there struggling right now with something, you know what? You put the work in to get yourself up on your feet, and you could tell your story. And it's just like these speakers that will go out to these different places and talk about mental health and all that stuff. They've likely been through it as well, unless they have a psychology degree. But we've all had our own struggles. So a lot of these stories and all these pieces of advice comes from the heart. So next time somebody gives you advice, if they say, yeah, this is how you cook this, they've likely burnt that before and they're just trying to help you. So anyways, I'm glad I can end this video on a lighter note, because today has honestly just been a bit more of a depressing day so far. I hope I can make it better, but I wanted to come on here and make this video because I felt that now is a good time to tell my story. There's still a lot that I've yet to tell. There's some other details that come to play with family and such that I'm not quite ready to talk about, and I don't know if I will talk about. There's still decisions I've got to make with the channel. Will I ever really say who I am? Because there's the risk of getting swatted, and I don't want to get swatted, because people will do that. Yeah, I'm a self-help channel, but they just don't give a shit and they just want to troll and put my life at risk. So we'll see what happens. But I've at least told you guys a lot of my story from the past 10 years. There's still more to it that I can tell, but I feel that that's more for a different video or more niche topics. But again, like I said, today's video is sort of the umbrella video to a lot of my problems, and I can pull from this video. And this will help you guys get more of an understanding of where I'm coming from and all that, and even just giving a little advice along the way. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I appreciate everybody's support. I also kind of got a kick out of how the video of Grug has over 100 views. I just love how meme videos get like that. I don't chase the views, but it makes me laugh just seeing that it does pull people in, and they probably get a kick out of the intro. I'd recommend you watch the video to get a context of what the intro is. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. We'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.